Welcome back everybody to Automation, the car company tycoon game, and of course later in the video beamng.drive 2. Today we are making a pretty cool HYPERMILER. As you can see, we're starting off with a pretty cool body here as well. It's gonna look a bit different than this because we are obviously gonna morph it. This is basically gonna be kind of a long tail HYPERMILER. I got the suggestion through a comment, and if you have any suggestions for future builds, please let me know. Anyways, we're going to start right off, and we're actually going to go fiberglass, so we can keep this thing light, nice and light here. The year is 1991, and we want to keep this nice and realistic, so the price nice and low, which means no quality spamming. It's not a 2020s vehicle, so I'm not going to pretend it is. Anyways, we'll go sash material. We'll just go regular steel here. Front longitudinal engine placement, because we want to have around 5 seats in here. And as for the suspension, we'll probably just go double wishbone in the front, and I like a nice multi-link in the rear. Kind of expensive in terms of suspension setup, but that's alright. So let's go ahead and create ourselves a new engine. And as for this engine, I think I'm going to make this an inline 6, and we'll probably make it fully aluminum. That seems pretty decent to me. I'm thinking 1.8 liters, you know, not too small, not too big. Can probably decrease that by quite a bit, and probably want to decrease this then as well. Let's see, almost square. I think we're gonna make it, and that is exactly 1.8. That's pretty beautiful. We'll go dual overhead cam 5 valve, which is a bit crazy. However, we kind of need it for the fuel consumption. So we are going to do that, and we're just going to pop maybe around 4 quality into this. As I said, we're not quality spamming it, which means we're not putting everything up to 15. So that's basically what that means. We'll go heavy duty forged in terms of conrods, and obviously low friction cast here, and then a harmonic dampener, otherwise our engine is just going to fall apart. We'll go VVT as well. And we'll take a look at this stuff later. However, I think we are going to rev a little bit higher, but not too high, because we are going to turbo this thing, so probably around 6200 RPM. As I said, a turbocharger. We're just going to go single turbo, and we're probably going to put the eco preset on that thing in a second. We will enable boost control for us there. Here we are. We'll go injection, definitely actually. Multi-point EFI per cylinder, beautiful performance mid-intake manifold. We'll go regular run. Yep, and we're probably gonna want to lean that out quite a bit. There we go. Maybe just 1 quality into that too, and then we're gonna go tubular race here and make it really small. That's a nice tactic for a tiny bit of extra fuel efficiency. Probably going to want to increase that because it's single. Go high flow 3-way catalytic converter. We'll go baffled and reverse flow mufflers. There we go, that's looking pretty good. However, we are just going to put the eco preset on that. So this is obviously the only reason it had that much power was because of the turbo, and it's infinitely loading now. I've finalized the engine, and as you can see, we're making around 190 horsepower, 300 newton meters of torque. Some pretty good numbers, because this is definitely not going to be a heavy vehicle. This thing's costing us 2,300 quid, so that's really neat as well, and it's getting some pretty good engine efficiency. That's 27.3% there, so that is pretty decently high. And as you see, I've completely tuned my turbo as well. Now we can move on to the other stuff. So to save weight, and because we don't need all-wheel drive, we're just going to make this thing rear-wheel drive. Looking at this body, I almost feel like I'm building some sort of 2020s vehicle, but we're not. This is going to be an automatic 5-speed, and we're going to want to gear it pretty high. I'd say around 320. That's looking good there. Then we want some pretty high spacing as well. We'll go geared, limited slip differential, and maybe 2 small qualities in there. And as for the wheels, we should be able to keep these pretty small, as we don't have too much power, and we are going to go sports compound actually, so that we can keep these smaller without actually suffering from wheel spin. I'd love to make these square, but I think we're gonna go 170s and 180s. In my experience, if we go 170s, we're gonna just, if we go square tires on this thing, we're gonna oversteer. Yeah, we'll put on magnesium rims because fancy, very fancy, and light as well. Like nice, like a little bit of larger tires on this body. There we go. Definitely like that. So we're gonna go vented discs. We want some pretty decent brakes, I think, and then maybe vented disc 2 pistons there. We can make these wheel large, but obviously we want to keep these as small as possible, with them still being good brakes, of course. We'll see where that gets us. And we're actually gonna go semi-clad under tray. We're gonna give us some cooling flaps, cooling airflow. We're gonna turn down a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty nice. And we're gonna increase this by 10. Plus 10 aerodynamics. It's quite a lot, but you know, we'll have to live with that. And you know, it will bring cost with it. So we want to keep the cost low either way. Yeah, so you know, it's fine. So we're gonna go for a sport interior, and I'll give it the premium CD. Alright. Want to make it a nice car. It's going to be electric traction control, probably want that. ABS, of course, too. Standard 90s safety. Advanced safety is a bit too heavy for our purposes. So we're going to go standard springs, and we'll go semi-active and passive sway bars here. And we have a 1.3 degree roll angle. Now that's kind of low. Let's give it a normal suspension tune. That's 7.0 degrees. That's a bit better. That's then all of a sudden kind of high. But, oh, yeah, we don't want to raise the body that much. Does that affect it? 5.3. That's a decent roll angle. Okay. So, obviously I still need to fine-tune this car, but what we're looking at right now is 5.4 liters per 100 kilometers, which, don't take my word for it, but that is maybe around 38 miles to the gallon. Obviously, we need to fine-tune that still, but that's already looking pretty good. Definitely happy with that. We're around 1,152 kilograms. That is around 2,500 pounds. So, you know, let's design this thing, fine-tune it, and see what we're left with. This is the Aerobia FM Swift, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed that time lapse. As you can see here, this is how this bad boy looks, and I think it's pretty nice, kind of minimalistic, but we don't want too many things sticking out on this car, which is supposed to have pretty good aerodynamics. Also, I thought I might mention that this body is a sedan. It is not a coupe. For some reason, it is a sedan, so, you know, that's perfectly fine. As you can see, we are also a 5-seater right there. We got our steering wheel. We do have a little bit of an interior, which I'm happy with. We got some nice, really aerodynamic wheels here, and we even have a cover on our wheel right there. So, for extra aerodynamicity. We have a long tail, which is hopefully going to increase my aerodynamics a little bit too. Well, now you see the thing is, right? All of these could obviously improve my aerodynamics, but the game doesn't take them into account, which is fine. Just thought I'd mention that if this game was even more advanced than it already is, we'd probably have a lower probably have lower fuel consumption than we currently do. However, I'm still really happy with what we have right now. So what we're having right now is 4.9 liters per 100 kilometers. That's something I'm pretty happy with. That's below 5, and now that is 48.0 miles to the gallon, which that's obviously pretty amazing for something that is not a hybrid, for something that's really just a petrol engine, right? So we should definitely be pretty happy with that. Cost is exactly 36 grand in what I believe is 2012 US dollars. So, you know, expensive, maybe more expensive than some cars. However, you're definitely gonna save that in terms of your fuel economy. So that's pretty cool. We are weighing 1123 kilograms. That is like 2,500 pounds, something like that. This thing looking pretty snazzy right here. Got these super aerodynamic mirrors here, which they probably don't work as well as most mirrors, but I'm sure they're fine. Got these lights here, got a massive light bar on the rear here, some vents because we want people to think we have a rear engine even though we don't. Got a bumper, exhausts, and some more lights here in case we didn't have enough up top. Anyways, that's basically the Arovia FM Swift, and what we're going to do now is import it into beamng.drive. Here it is, the Arovia FM Swift, and it's looking pretty good in here. The rear end looks different than I thought it would, mainly because of the recoloring of some of this that beamng.drive always does. When I rev it, as you can see, the revs take a really long time to go back down. Anyways, we can probably just start this thing up. As you can see, we get a tiny bit of wheel spin. However, for the rest, oh, yeah, that's kind of what you'd expect with wheels that are this skinny. This thing literally glides. I thought I could get away with making the wheels this small, and you know, we are not struggling in terms of wheel spin, but we are in terms of actual traction. Anyways, we can try this around a tiny bit here. We are looking pretty good, and it is pretty fast. And now that is probably due to a few things. The first one being that we obviously have a low drag coefficient, which definitely is something that also helps with our fuel consumption. This thing drives pretty nicely, to be honest, apart from the fact that the wheels could have been wider. It's looking pretty good here. So the speed pickup is definitely nice, and it seems to be once we reach around 200 kilometers an hour that the acceleration really just slows down. Yep, and whatever gear this is, it just kind of stops. Oh. Yeah, okay. Wow, apparently there was a rock there. I think we should be happy that we didn't have any passengers in the rear, because that's something you definitely don't want happening. Anyways, for the rest, this thing is looking pretty good. I really like how it drives. Suspension is a little bit hard, but you know, for something that's like this, like a sedan, but you know, it kind of has to be, considering the fact that it is kind of low to the ground, right? But overall, I think it drives really well. I definitely enjoy this car. Anyways, what we're gonna do, can I stick this half? What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this thing over to the automation test track and see what kind of a time this thing can set, because I am really intrigued as to how it's gonna do. And in just the second time for you guys, we are here on the automation test track, and we're driving this thing. Now, what is something I am noticing is the fact that because it's so light, our brakes are really pretty good. So that's definitely something I am happy with. Overall, pretty positive about this car. Oh, starting to spin there a little bit. But that's alright. You can't have everything, can you? There we go, pretty nice turn there too. And almost brake too early. I was scared I braked too late. Then I remembered that the brakes were good. And then it turns out I actually braked too early. So that's definitely not a minus point there. Doing pretty good here though. Let's see what kind of a speed we can get up to on this straight here. And whilst we're accelerating, I would like to say that you guys can actually also download this vehicle through my Discord server. My Discord server is linked in the description. We're almost at 1,000 members at the time of recording this video, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, through my Discord server, you can find download links to every single car I've ever made on this channel. So that's pretty nice. Also, that power slide was also pretty nice. Let's not die in this turn, because that's something I tend to do. However, oh my god, that is something I didn't expect from myself. Now that was also something I didn't necessarily intend to do, but it was definitely pretty cool. So I'm not going to complain. Did we brake too late? Kind of. Let's see if we can save it. Not really, because we don't have enough traction to be able to really control our drifts. That's too bad. But I think we've already had a lot of luck this lap, so can't really complain. Also considering it was definitely my own fault for thinking that we had amazing brakes and then still overestimating my brakes. It's just because I'm always scared to crash there, so I always brake really early. But now my brakes are good for once, so I decided to brake late. But I braked too late. Anyways, looking at a pretty, just an okay, decent time here. Something you would expect from a sedan like this, which definitely doesn't really look like a sedan, but that's besides the point. There we go, we are 10th place here. Don't have a lot of times, because recently this entire thing got revamped and all my times got removed. Anyways, basically, we are looking at something we beat was the Tundra Trail Boss GPT, which was a cool one. This was a pretty large truck with many horsepowers, and it was actually designed by ChatGPT. That's why it's called the Trail Boss GPT. ChatGPT designed it, and if that sounds like something interesting to you, I will link it in the description. And something we beat is the Guinea Pro Move SFL, which, now I come to think of it, was a car really similar to this one. It was a coupe SUV. So it was basically an SUV body, but then curved, so that it's kind of also a coupe at the same time. A coupe SUV. Anyways, basically, I really enjoyed this car. It's pretty cool. Definitely like it. It's a bit beaten up now, though. Right now, though, thank you guys ever so much for watching. If you made it until here, I really appreciate it, and I definitely hope to see you again in the next one. Bye-bye.